Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today is a special one because I'm with Father David from the Diocese of Northampton, and this Advent theme is about love. So before we start, Father David, would you like to perhaps just give a quick intro of yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Anthony.
No
and
worries.
it's good to see you all. Well, I can't see you, but it's good to be here.
Yeah.
I'm Father David Donaghue. I'm a priest. I've been ordained just coming up to a year and a half. I studied at Oscott Seminary where Anthony is studying, and I'm currently in my first parish in Corby, Our Lady of Walsingham in Corby, and it's really good. So this is where we are today.
Great. Thank you, Father David. This is actually my first time doing a collab with someone. Yeah, so
I have a YouTube channel as well.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So what is it, maybe?
Father David.
Father
David Donaghue.
Great.
YouTube, yeah.
So today it's about love. So what I've been doing is each week has been a different theme, and so this week's is about love. And so I was reflecting on love today, and don't you think that love, the way we see love today, is a lot different to the love that the church teaches us? And what do you think about that?
Yeah, because we use the word love in everything, don't we? I love apple crumble. I love Arsenal Football Club. We use the word love. I know, obviously, you're closer to the studies than me, but I know in Greek there's at least 4 words for love. So there's different kinds of love. But the love I suppose we're called to is Agape, which is like complete giving of yourself, sacrificial love.
Yeah. And isn't that I know in the scriptures when Jesus asked Peter, do you love me? That was the kind of love that Jesus was referring to.
He started asking him, if I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but he started asking him, do you agape, do you love me? Self-sacrificially, do you give everything? And when Peter replied, he said, I philo you, I love you as a friend. So Peter couldn't quite, at that time, give him everything. And then Jesus ended up lowering his love to friendship love. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and so in that sense, I guess you can say that the love that Jesus shows is a sacrificial love. And he says in the scriptures, doesn't he, in the Gospel of John, that there's no greater love than to lay one's life for another. So in that sense, there's a sacrificial aspect to the love that we see there.
Because love hurts.
Yeah.
When you love, it really hurts. And it's so easy, isn't it, in our culture today to speak love, but cover lust.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will say, I love you so much, and then 2 weeks later, I've fallen out of love with you. So I remember before I came back to my faith, that was all I knew. I thought love was what you got.
Yeah.
Love was what you felt. So if you felt this gushy, gooey feeling, you were in love.
Yeah.
But I now know that love is a decision. Love is like, I decide to will the good of the other. So St. Thomas says, to want the good of the other. And just an example I use is I have a little sister. She's not that little. She's married now with a little boy. But when she was younger, I remember one time she basically, my cat peed on her bed. Okay, right. Simple as that. And she was out, and I just felt sorry for her because she'd been working. So I put my duvet on her bed, and I slept without a duvet that night. Now I'm not trying to sound, very noble and virtuous, but she didn't know. She went to bed, got up in the morning, went to work, and I was shivering all night. I was really grumpy in the morning, but I remember feeling good about myself because I loved my sister and I wanted her good. So that's just a little example of giving up something.
Yeah.
And I often say to the young people at schools, true love is when you say to your girlfriend, like, I'm not going to come around tonight because you're studying. I want you to have that freedom, that space to say no to ourselves, so that others can say yes.
And so I was, it's amazing what you said there, because when we talk about marriage as well, when I was thinking about marriage this morning, I was sort of like, marriage it's something that we can't just walk into, just saying we love each other. But in some sense, even marriage requires a sacrifice. And true marriage can flourish, and the love between the spouses in a marriage can flourish when Christ is there, when you're ready to sacrifice both your lives, in a sense that you're no longer living separate lives, but you're living one life. So all that you have, all that belongs to you, also belongs to the other person as well. So in that sense, you're sharing, and there's like a sacrificial sense in that kind of sharingness, in that sharing aspect of it.
Yeah, and you look at a wedding vow. You say "I do" with your words, and as you know, the marriage sacrament is given by the spouses. The priest witnesses the marriage, but the actual sacrament is ministered by the two people, man and woman, and they say with their words "I do," but then with their bodies that night they'll say "I do" with their bodies. So there's a language we use, and often our world gets it the wrong way around. They jump into the physical side, they say "I do," but they don't often back it up with the commitment in front of God and the world.
And that's one thing that a lot of people miss, isn't it? It's that aspect of commitment. The love is not just an emotion, it's not just a feeling, but is, like we said earlier, it's a sacrifice of yourself. It's a decision to say, I'm going to put all that I like to a side, and I'm going to let you, and I'm going to live my life for you, and you're going to live your life for me, and that's what it would be like in marriage. But but what about love in in discipleship terms? So as disciples of Christ, as followers of Christ, what role does love play in that, do you think?
So a lot of people say, people that maybe don't have faith or are atheists and things, I don't need God. And if you're living a life that isn't of the gospel, you probably don't need God. If you're just going to do what you want. But when God calls us to love one another, he commands us to love one another. And we often we don't think of that commandment. We think of the 10 commandments. But Jesus says, I command you to love one another. He doesn't say, it's a good idea, or can I make a suggestion? He says, I command you. And what does that love look like? That love looks like forgiveness. Forgiveness is tough. Forgiveness is tough. If we're really trying to love as Christ loves, we need God. We need God because we all have brokenness and woundedness, and we take offence and we get hurt. But there's no room in our souls for bitterness and for hate as a Christian. That's, I think, true love is it's easy to forgive and to love those you love, but often we have to love and forgive those that are difficult, and that's true love. True love is forgiveness. And that reminds me of what St. Paul says, in Romans, where he says love is the fulfillment of the law. So we are to follow the commandments and obey the commandments, but if we can love, we are covering the commandments, aren't we, in a sense? And and he also reminds us to be imitators of Christ, doesn't he? And there's no greater love shown than the love on the cross. And in that sense, that call to love is the same calling as the call to being imitators of Christ. And Saint Augustine says, love and do what you will. So love and do what you want. And it's quite simplistic, but what he means is if all of our motives is to love, then we can be free. And essentially we want to get rid of law. Law is there to shape us and to mould us. But if we're loving, nobody needs to say to me every day, don't kill somebody. Because I'm living a life of love, I'm trying to. So the laws aren't needed. It doesn't mean they're not important, but the idea is we live a natural life of love. And we were talking earlier about contraception. What that does is that divorces that act of self-giving from love, where the act of self-giving, the act of the sexual act just becomes kind of transactional. And actually, when we take contraception away, then a man and a woman are left to really sacrifice, because maybe they're going for a phase where they're not ready or haven't got the means to have a child at that point. And the church says we can discern. And then they have to show love in other ways. And sacrifice.
And it's true, isn't it? Because the action of love itself has so much power behind it. Because Isabel from 40 Days, she was telling us a story when she came to college to discuss 40 Days, and she was saying, in the abortion clinic, I think this might have been Maryvale, but basically what happened was so there was like a bodyguard there to escort the ladies that were about to take abortions or applying for an abortion, and so this bodyguard was told to be very protective over these girls that are coming in. So then there were student prayers outside the clinic at the time, and there was this one lady, she wasn't trying to be aggressive, and she wasn't trying to put her points across so powerfully and aggressively about abortion and stuff, but she was just simply showing love in a sense of just having a chat with him and stuff like that. And then slowly, they formed some kind of relationship, and the miracle was that it got to a point eventually when that bodyguard quit his job because he felt that what he was doing, what he was partaking in, was something wrong. And so I guess what I'm trying to say there is that lady, she showed a form of Christian love, in a sense where there's no aggressiveness, and it's very gentle and subtle, but so powerful at the same time. And that love that lady showed actually ended up transforming someone's life. So there's also some kind of, if we are all called to evangelize, if you evangelize with love, there's that transformation power behind it.
Love drives out fear, St. Paul says. And picking you up on that, Anthony, when the world, if you go into a shop, you're going shopping in London or Birmingham, and you go into quite a nice, classy shop, people are so kind, they're so friendly, they'll do anything for you. And I often think, would you be the same on the train? Would you be the same on the bus? Would you be the same if you were another shopper? Because the world can offer sometimes a superficial love, but as Christians, this gives us an opportunity to really show Christ's love to people. And when you're loved by the love of Jesus in someone, it affects you, it stirs something up. And just another story, so I'm full of stories today, but I remember at uni, before seminary, I was doing my dissertation and I stayed up all night. You've never done that, I'm sure, Anthony.
No, I'm sure get that at some point.
And I was just tired in the morning, and a friend of mine, a holy girl, she came into university to begin her day, and she took one look at me and said, are you hungry? Are you thirsty? I was like, I am. She gave me her packed lunch, and I remember a little carton of orange, and that's it. But that touched me. I thought, wow, because she did it with such love, the love in her eyes, and that affected me, and and that added to my conversion. So when we touch people with simple things, we do it in the name of Christ, and we do it from the source of Christ. Then we can really do marvelous things.
That reminds me of what St. John of the Cross said. It was his feast day yesterday, wasn't it? And he said, because him and Saint Teresa of Avila, that's it. They both knew each other very well, and she quoted St. John of the Cross, saying, St. John of the Cross once said, love, respond to love with love, and that, in that sense of what you said in your story, it's like when someone does something good or out of love to you, it's like they're doing that to Christ, in that sense. And Jesus says that himself, when you fed the poor, you fed me, in that sense. And we're responding to Christ and his affection to us by loving those around us, in that sense. And I think that's so important as people of God, that we respond to Christ's love. And sometimes we think there's like a specific method to do that. Sometimes we do think, although it's very important, that only praying is the way of responding to Christ's call, Christ's love. But in fact, actually, it's just just that very act of love itself and sharing that love with others can be a way of responding to Christ's love to you. I think that's so important that we forget to love those around us, and we think that we just have to give all our love to Christ. But to actually give all your love to Christ, you have to start by loving those around you first.
And you're compelled to love others when you really love Christ. I remember reading Padre Pio. Some Padre Pio used to weep when he's seen people suffering. It used to hurt him because he loved them deeply.
Yeah. And it's such a powerful thing, isn't it, love? And yeah, well, thank you, Father David.
That was really good. Yeah, thank God.
Thank you for joining. And I'm sure in the future we could do more stuff together.
Definitely.
And once again, Father has his own YouTube channel, and so please do subscribe. I'll put a link in the description below. And thank you so much, guys, for listening. This is the last episode of this mini series of Advent. And so we hope you have a great week ahead. Until next time, God bless.